How's the offseason treating you?
It was busy, and then not busy at the same time. But I've enjoyed it. It's good to be back and see everybody and get back out there, though.
Last time we talked to you, a big part of the conversation was about T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and their future. How happy are you that that is all figured out and you're now going to be playing with them for the foreseeable future?
Yeah, it's great when you can reward guys that do it the right way, work really hard to go out and play great on Sundays and do play great week in and week out. So it's great to have them for the next 4 years. I'll be here too, so we got the core here, and that's exciting.
How much do you think your comments, and we only saw what you said publicly, but if you had conversations behind the scenes, like how much weight do you feel like you had in both of those deals getting done?
I don't know. I hope not a lot. I think when you have two guys like that, like I've said, you draft, they play great for you. We win a lot of games. They're very productive. Those are guys that you want to reward, and I'm glad they're here.
Why do you hope not a lot?
That's not really the position I want to be in.
What's the biggest change you had this offseason compared to the previous ones?
The biggest change? I'm not sure I'm changing too much. Just like every year, you're trying to get bigger, stronger, faster, refine things where you can refine them. That's kind of my process every year. I've had injuries that kind of change your off-season mindset a little bit. This year I don't have any of those, and that's great. So I can, focus on getting better all around and become a more well-rounded player.
What do you dwell on after a season like that? When you personally play so well, don't miss the playoffs for a second straight year. What do you dwell on to kind of get ready?
There's always more you can do. If I played even better, then we wouldn't have been in that spot that we were in. So I'm just focused on trying to get better myself. And, I know everybody in the locker room, it feels the same way. So if I go out there and play, hold on, Hobbs, dang. If I go out there and play better than I did last year, then it doesn't matter what goes on everywhere else. Okay, your turn, Hobbs.
Nope. What are you going to do for Encore?
Just try to get better. Stats are going to fluctuate year in and year out. Maybe I have a better statistical year, maybe I don't. I'm not really too worried about that, but try to come out and win games, do what I can to win games, be better as a quarterback and as a player. I think that's attainable, and that's the goal, the milestone year in and year out is just try to get better.
Where can you get better?
You can get better everywhere. It doesn't matter how good you were in any area. There's always room to be better in certain spots, certain aspects of the game. So I'm excited about that opportunity.
Is the wrist injury an afterthought at this point?
Just like with any ligament injury, it's going to take a while to come back. It's better this time of the year than it was last time at the same time. So just constant improvement in that is going to do me good.
It's a different side of the ball, but what's it like seeing Al Golden return now as defensive coordinator? Yeah,
it's good to see Al. It's I haven't been in those meetings, and I'm not entirely sure. That's probably a better question for defensive guys, but I know I have a lot of trust in Al, and from my short time with him early in my career, I know he takes it seriously. I know he's a really good coach, so it's good to have him.
A couple of years ago, we asked you about the rumors that you were potentially doing quarterback. Since we last talked to you, Netflix released that you're going to be a quarterback this summer. What was your reason behind wanting to do that this time around?
I don't know. Caught me on the right day, I guess. But I think it's going to be good entertainment. Not necessarily the season that I wanted to have in that spotlight, but I think a big part was Peyton being involved in it too. I have a lot of respect for him, obviously, and what he is as a person. So if that guy reaches out to you and asks you to do something, then most of the time I'm going to say yeah.
Have you watched a bunch?
Yeah, I've watched the first several episodes, give my input.
What's Peyton trying to do? When he's trying to sell you on that, what's the biggest buying point? Besides, obviously I know that guy really well, I trust him a lot. To get involved in something like that with your name attached to it, what's been the biggest selling point to say, hey, this is a project that I think would be good for you?
Just that the only positive things could come out of it. He's going to protect me, protect our team, protect the organization. I have trust in him for saying that and trust that he's going to do that. So I probably wouldn't have done it if he wasn't involved, but I have a lot of trust and faith in him to not do anything that would hurt me or the team.
What did you think of the first few episodes that you've seen?
Pretty good. I guess that's for you guys to decide when it comes out. I don't know. I probably won't watch it when it comes out, but hopefully you guys like it.
Is it more entertaining than a documentary on Jeff Hobson?
I sure hope so.
Just, you're a private person and like to keep things close to the vest, but doing this documentary and then the break-in last December, what was it like going through that while knowing that cameras were following you?
Yeah, that was definitely a curveball that I didn't quite expect throughout the whole process, but the people involved in it, working on it on the day-to-day were great and weren't too intrusive. So, I worked with some good people for that.
Joe Burrow and Jamal, when they ended up getting both those guys signed, a lot of us probably didn't think it was going to happen, and you advocate for it, and they go out and do it. What kind of message does that send you to the front office, and kind of how much they're invested, not only you, but the whole team? Like, what does that say when they're able to go out and get something of that magnitude done?
I just think it says they're invested in winning. I think they want to reward guys that they draft that come in and play great. I think that's a recipe for success.
What's your thoughts on kind of the Trey situation? That one's obviously the last one to get done. What are your thoughts on kind of that being still the last outstanding deal that potentially get done?
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. You guys all know how I feel about Trey. He's a great player. I love Trey as a guy. He goes out and plays well every single Sunday. He's very productive. He's a guy that deserves to get paid and get paid what he wants and what the market is. So, like I said, we'll see what happens with that. But I love Trey and hope he's with us.
Did you get a text, a FaceTime from T and Jamar when they signed that? How did you find out what the deal?
I was here the day they signed. I think Jamar texted me first, and then T followed up a little bit after. But that was I think I was in Miami for that. I think I was at Sam Hubbard's bachelor party when I got that text. So that was a nice little treat.
You can give one piece of advice to Shamar Stewart as he approaches rookie year. What would it be, Joe?
Just work hard, develop a routine, find the people that are going to help facilitate your success, have the right people around you, go out and make plays, play really hard, understand your job. Everything that I've seen from him in our short time together so far has been very positive. He's always got some energy in his face, comes in ready to work. So, obviously we'll see what happens in the season, but I got a lot of faith in him.
So what do you think of the schedule, Joe?
Playing in Baltimore for the fourth straight primetime year isn't ideal. Maybe we could get one of those in Cincinnati next year, please. Maybe an international game next year too. I think, part of the reason I wanted to do the quarterback show, I wanted to help grow the game internationally, and so to not have a stage like that is a little disappointing because I feel like I've consciously worked hard to try to grow the game internationally over the last 18 months or so. So hopefully at some point in my career we can go over there.
That being said, are you interested in all of the flight proposals for the coverage meetings, or how much are you potentially trying out for that, or being that quarterback to represent the U.S.?
Yeah, I'd love to. That's an exciting opportunity, I think. I'm not entirely sure how that would work out with training camp and all of our obligations here. It's not my forte, but that's something that I would like to do for sure.
I believe as it's currently stated in the resolution, it's only going to be one NFL player per country. Would you like to see that, like, so you and Jamar couldn't both play for the U.S. and then be one or the other? Would you like to?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so. Would you like to see that expanded, where you could have multiple players from teams go?
Well, I guess it just depends on if they want to, how much they want to grow the game. I think the more NFL players that you have on the roster, the more people are going to want to tune in and watch. And so I guess that's a decision that they have to make. But I'd love to see all of our guys out there. Yeah.
Joe, one of the biggest storylines about this team heading into the season is going to be about the start and how you guys play in the month of September. Zach talked a lot about at the end of the season that being a big point of emphasis for this organization. From what you've seen, I know you've only been back here for a month, but have you noticed any changes, and have you met with him to go over how you guys could potentially, other than playing more in the preseason, maybe make some tweaks that could help you guys in the month of September?
Just doing everything that you can to be more prepared, I guess. We're running more as a team. This time of year is about the same. I would say we're working a little harder in the weight room and running. But at the end of the day, we just have to go out and play better early in the year. You can come up with all these different things to try to make that happen. I think playing in preseason games will help. We haven't had those discussions yet, but based on the little that we have, I imagine we'll be playing more, and I think that'll help. But we'll see. I think at the end of the day, we just have to take some ownership and come out of the gates and execute and play better.
Joe, you attended the Met Gala. I'm curious, what's the process like of doing that, asking to go, and why were you drawn to wanting to go do that?
It's a new experience. It was fun. It's about 5 minutes of taking pictures, and then it's just a little dinner party. So it was good people, good vibes. I was happy that I was able to go. Maybe we'll go again. I don't know. We'll see how we'll play it by ear.
Between that and Paris, is there something about that you've been particularly drawn to, that kind of to spend time? I'm sure there's tons of places you could spend your off-season time. I mean, why has it been about places like that has kind of been something for you?
I would say the media all around the event is a little exhausting, but once you're actually there, it's just it's very private, and that's hard for me to come by these days. So the more opportunities that I can try to have a normal dinner party, a normal dinner, be around people that don't care, just around good people, the more opportunities I'm going to take.
A little random question before we go back to college a little bit. When wasn't around, would you have left before you graduated had the pool been around?
Yes.
How do you feel like that would have affected your development had you left before you stayed 3 years?
Who knows? Hopefully I would have gotten on the field earlier. But I also progressed as a player at Ohio State rapidly, got better and better and better just in practice. Who knows how it would have played out otherwise. You can play that game all day, but you change one thing or here and there, you never know what kind of effects that's going to have. So who knows?
Is there a part of you that is not envious of guys that were in that spot trying to make that decision because it wasn't really an option for you? You kind of had to deal with that and kind of go with it as it was?
No, I think the more choices and opportunities that you have, the better. Obviously that comes with its downsides, just like anything in life. The more you have, the more decisions that you're going to have to make, and the more you're going to have to weigh those opportunities. But I think in the long run, it's probably better.
We know how you feel about Trey. How often, especially in an off-season with the uncertainty around him, do you communicate with him? You guys? Here and there. Early in the off-season, quite a bit. Lately, not quite as much. He was here last week, obviously, as you guys know. That was an exciting day. And
it was great to see him. He came in and brought good energy. He was happy to see everybody. And like I said, I love Trey. I love seeing Trey. He's one of the most unique people I've ever been around or met, and I love that about him. And I think that's what makes him a great player. So he brings a unique energy that I'm always excited to see.
Did you notice there was 1 or 2 less cameras on you last year?
Yeah, definitely.
It's like Jermaine Burton is always in the rotation of the guys you're throwing to in the passing drills. Any observations of Jermaine as he tries to have a better second season?
I think he's stepped up this year so far. He's taken it very seriously. Matured, it seems like. That's exciting to see. I know, based on the conversations that we have had, he's in a good spot mentally and physically, and he's been working hard. So that's exciting to see.
Do you keep tabs on the stadium situation and all something that we kind of talked about with the lease we have? How much is that kind of been on your radar?
I mean, I saw it. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't had any other discussions about it than what you guys know. So I don't really know what's going on with that.
Do you pay, how much do you pay attention to any of that? As that kind of goes back and forth with all the deadlines, on that, how much are you kind of invested to kind of see how that all plays out? What's your process on kind of handle all that stuff?
Right now, there's nothing really to pay attention to, I don't think. As that deadline comes closer, I'm sure if something's not done, there'll probably be more discussions to be had, but right now, nothing.
We brought up Trey's little media session last week. He said in that about how he went about it very differently than, for example, Jamar Chase did. What are your thoughts on how he's being so public about his personal negotiations, at least being media forward-facing with it?
I think he's doing what he thinks is best for his career, and I support him in that. Trey's a smart guy. Just like anybody, I'm sure there's things that he'd like to have back, but he's very well thought out in his process and what he's trying to do, and so if he thinks that's the way to go, then that's the way to go.
How do you feel physically? Seems like every year there's a narrative. Is there any, and I think last year was the body, right? Getting the body, right? Did you do anything this year to tweak that? Did you improve that? Or how do you feel physically?
Yeah, I feel great. This is the best that I've felt in the offseason. Yeah, just like every year, trying to get better, trying to get stronger, faster, healthier. Try to find ways that you can optimize your health throughout the whole season. Not hurt as much. So I'm in a good spot.